all over the world. No one knew the reason behind this phenomenon, but according to the accounts of the people who were present, the tower bore a striking resemblance to mythical tales, as if someone had rewritten those stories. Some individuals were delighted to encounter heroes from the myths, but everything took a turn against humanity. Dungeons and monsters began to emerge around the tower, and in order to safeguard the world from these creatures, people began to study the tower and clear the dungeons, earning them the title of subterranean adventurers. When Han Youngmin was a child, the adventurers he saw on television were extraordinary to him. The boy was enthralled by the television, eager to catch a glimpse of his beloved heroes. These adventurers saved people through their formidable strength, and everyone knew their names. The boy regarded the adventurers with awe, watching them with his mouth agape. Therefore, Han made up his mind that he, too, would become an adventurer and save the world, just like them. In pursuit of achieving his cherished dream, the young lad emerged as if cursed. He immersed himself in the study of numerous volumes within the confines of his chamber, finding all of it intriguing and captivating. Day by day, Han's comprehension of mana and mutations grew. The lad dedicated himself to learning from his early childhood through his youth. Upon devouring all the books associated with adventurers, Han made the decision to undertake the entrance examinations. Han Youngmin, belonging to the 27th group, successfully passed the written exam and attained the first rank, enabling him to gain admission to the prestigious Academy of Adventurers, reserved exclusively for the elite, a fact that filled Han with immense joy. The young lad comprehends that at long last, his cherished dream shall be realized, and he, too, shall be able to embrace the role of an underground adventurer. Han Youngmin achieved the 274th rank during his second year of study in the inaugural semester. The lad is aware that no matter how he strives, there stand walls before him that he cannot surmount. Regardless of his earnest efforts and rigorous training, his body remains obstinate, unwilling to heed his volition. Han experiences a profound sense of desolation, for he lacks any unique ability possessed solely by adventurers. Consequently, the lad resolves to take an academic leave and confine himself to his chamber, relinquishing his sole dream of becoming an adventurer, which once burned within him. The lad sits at his laptop, partaking in some store-bought delicacy, as he contemplates that if it had been 2 years prior, his peers would already be on their 3rd year. Instead of relentlessly pursuing an unattainable dream, Han commenced crafting fictitious tales, a saga of a swordsman cleaving through the horizon, a chronicle of a hunter who spent a lifetime in the forest of mortality, and a narrative of the one who forged magic. That which Han could not accomplish in life, he manifested within his stories. Han composes the final chapter of his latest tale, reluctantly accepting that every story must come to an end. He decides to conclude the narrative after indulging in a brief respite of slumber. Weary and aware of his fatigue, the lad retires to his bed. Switching on the television, Han tunes into the news, eager to hear the latest updates. The news anchor reports that their nation's sole divine adventurer, Rachel, has completed her mission in the United States and is returning to Korea. The majority of threats have been vanquished, fostering a sense of global harmony among people. The sovereign of divine abilities, Rachel, is making her triumphant return. Rachel possesses a remarkable youthfulness, captivating Han's admiration as she became an adventurer at such an early age. Meanwhile, Han ponders why she lacks any special aptitude. The young lad can confidently assert that he toiled more diligently than anyone else. Frustration wells within Han, and he longs to let go of these thoughts, for they are no longer relevant to him. The world seeks a new cell to construct a tower, and then the world discovers the perfect time and place, as described in the novel, which can be applied to the tower. The world creates the tower at the same time and place of the events. Han wakes up in the morning and hears a noise. He forgot to turn off the television. The news reports an unprecedented occurrence. 5 new towers have been erected in the country, bearing names like the Horizon-Slashing Blade, the Harbinger of Evil, and the Black Divine Scroll. Han is in a state of panic. Subsequent news reports reveal that just as they thought they were approaching peace, new towers and dungeons emerged. Urgent updates resonate, as 2 additional towers have been discovered, bringing the count to 7. The association speculates that these towers will be of the highest rank. Han realizes that the news is mentioning the names of the heroes from his novel, and it couldn't have been a mere coincidence, as these names are incredibly familiar to him. Hastily, Han rushes to his laptop and opens it, only to find that his novel has vanished. Even all the original copies he kept in his catalog have disappeared. This evening, the administration will make an announcement regarding these new towers. The association prioritizes the stabilization of the dungeons. Han feels as though he is still in a dream. Suddenly, a blue screen appears before Han. The screen informs him that the young boy's novel titled The Century of Turmoil has been chosen by the world. The tower of this magnificent novel is in the process of creation. The boy can't believe it. Han requests an explanation, each word spoken slower than the last. The screen explains that the world has created a tower using his novel. The boy realizes that his novel has been stolen. The screen displays Han's attributes. Name is Han Youngman, class as the author of stories, the title as the true ruler of the 7 towers, the unique ability of immersion, and a status entangled. The files containing Han's novels have vanished, and the news announced towers bearing the same names as the heroes of his books, not just 1 or 2 towers. The screen notifies that a new unique class ability has been discovered. Han has acquired a new ability, immersion. Could it be that the boy has obtained a unique ability exclusive to his class? Could it be that a person without talent has managed to acquire a unique ability? With the aid of this ability, this skill, Han will be able to assume the role of an offensive type. Han indulged in excess. The young man believes that he was mistaken. Han is unaware of how many thousands of times he has attempted in the past few days, yet he still remained far from acquiring the skill. Activating the immersion ability seems impossible. The target of immersion is not a true human. The distance to the target is too vast. The target's emotions are not discernible, rendering the activation of the ability impossible. Han becomes infuriated due to the stringent requirements. He had thought that the unique class skill would be beneficial. The young man decides to visit the store for some beer. In the store, Han contemplates his own ability. The goal of immersion is to discover the essence of emotions, values, thoughts, judgments, personality types, desires, and love in order to harness this power. How can one even engage this power? Suddenly, someone calls out Han's name from behind. The young man turns around and recognizes his neighbor, Lee Saren, a student with a unique ability known as the Ice World. They used to be friends when Han helped her at the request of her mother. Moreover, Lee is studying at his academy, although he hardly ever saw her there because she took an academic leave shortly after enrolling. Han avoided Saren, fearing that the gossip had reached the girl. Saren smiles and mentions that she and Han haven't seen each other in a long time. The young man acknowledges that it is indeed true. Lee takes Han's hand and inquires about what he has been up to lately. She notices the scent of alcohol coming from him and asks if he has eaten anything. Han replies that he is just buying something to snack on. Lee advises him to eat properly instead of consuming fast food. Han chuckles and asks if she has settled into the academy yet. Lee asks if he wants to change the subject and answers affirmatively. She tells Youngman that he is popular at the academy and she heard that he received an offer from the Heavenly Castle Guild for a challenging position as an analyst. The Heavenly Castle is among the top 3 guilds in the country. It is said that gaining entry into such an organization cannot be achieved solely through academic achievements. Han is known for declining the guild that everyone desires to join. Han asks if people still remember that. Lee confirms that they do. Lee attempts to ask something, but Han interrupts her, stating that he has finished his purchases and suggesting they leave. There is a story that Han doesn't want to share with anyone, a world to which he has no connection. The class of true authorship has revealed the energy of Everton. This energy is possessed by the followers of demons. What are they doing here? Lee asks Han what happened. Suddenly, a follower of Everton's energy collapses. Lee wants to help him, but the young man stops her. Dark energy begins to emanate from the fallen man. Everton's follower has summoned a bloodthirsty wolf. 2 demonic wolves appear and intimidate the people. Suddenly, a group of individuals emerges, the avowed enemies of the 7 heroes, willing to make any sacrifice to achieve their goal. They are the followers of demons, fanatics from Han's novel. Lee says they must save the people, but she recalls that the young man may not possess a unique ability yet. Han declares that he will distract them, while Lee orders everyone to evacuate. Han realizes that the only thing he can do is escape. Suddenly, a wolf approaches the young man closely, launching an attack and leaving a scratch on his cheek. Han searches for something that can serve as a weapon. The young man discovers a reinforcement and fights the demonic wolves with it. The wolves bend the reinforcement. Will Han be able to withstand the next attack? What should he do? Meanwhile, Lee protects the people with her own power. Han hopes that he can utilize his immersion at least for now. He recalls his novel, the story he has been writing every day for the past 2 years, that world and its heroes. He knows everything about this book. The strongest swordsman in the novel wields a blade that cleaves through the horizon. Han decides to harness its power. The young man attempts to activate his immersion, but the power difference is too great. The use of this ability comes with a 100% chance of death. Han tries, but nothing works for him. He must choose another target for immersion. Han recalls another character and applies his immersion. The skill is successfully activated. A tower is a fusion of stories and records. For instance, if a tower is based on Greek mythology, and the ruler of the tower is Hercules, then everything that happened to him in legends will occur in real life as well. And right now, the heroes of Han's novels have become rulers of the towers. This means that all the people associated with them also exist, even if they are just minor characters. Han utilizes immersion and transforms into Malon, a simple gatekeeper whose name was not even mentioned in the book. The gatekeeper's task is to fight numerous weak enemies. Han possesses sufficient knowledge about the chosen target, and the conditions for using immersion have been fulfilled. The young man is confident that he will succeed. Han valiantly battles the demonic wolves. The young man's comprehension of spear mastery rapidly grows, and his combat instincts improve. Han temporarily acquired some deflection skills. He slays a wolf, and from its body flows violet blood. The sight alarms the other wolves, causing them to flee. However, the young man swings and hurls his makeshift spear at one of them, determined not to miss. It seems the danger has passed. Lai inquires if everyone is all right. The people assure her that they are unharmed. Lai instructs them to follow her, intending to swiftly evacuate everyone and assist Youngman. Lai has heard that Han still lacks certain abilities, but as an academy cadet, he surely knows what to do. Lai observes the violet blood on the floor. The bloody wolves, summoned as followers of Everton, have been eradicated. Han stands with blood-stained weaponry in his hands, while two demonic wolf corpses lie beneath him. The immersion comes to an end, and Han collapses, yet a smile graces his face, for he has successfully employed his ability. The combat skills of the first level have been adeptly mastered. Soon, Han will learn to utilize the muscles of his upper body. He exerted far more strength than he could withstand, and there may be adverse consequences from the forced augmentation of power. Han experiences an intense pain. Lai asks her companion if everything is alright and inquires if Han is in any discomfort. The young man, lying on the floor, responds that everything is fine. It's just a muscle cramp because he hasn't trained in a long time. Lai inquires again if everything is truly alright with Han, to which he assures her that all is well. Lai asks the young man when he was in the academy, questioning whether he mentioned not possessing any particular skill. In Lai's opinion, Han fought quite skillfully for someone without an ability. Han rises and sees the wreckage throughout the entire store, with splatters of violet blood around. The young man can hardly believe his eyes. Did he really do all this? Han gazes at his blood-stained hands. Did he accomplish all of this with his own hands? The young man is genuinely delighted that he succeeded. His body moved instinctively after being cornered, and his training at the academy was not in vain. Han was unaware that the submersion ability could be utilized on secondary characters. Han's body can borrow the strength of any character if it can handle the strain. But there are side effects to consider. Lai is convinced that Han should see a doctor, but the young man insists that everything is fine. A little training will fix it all. At this rate, Han won't be able to use submersion. He needs to increase his endurance. Han, utterly exhausted from the encounter with the demonic wolves in the store, lies nearly beaten on the bed in his chamber. The sound of his phone disturbs him, and he switches off his gadget, displeased. Feeling a tad remorseful, Han takes his phone into his hands and discovers a message from Saren, who apologizes to her friend, referring to him as a noble. Han fails to comprehend why he should apologize to the girl. A thought arises in Han's mind, and he yearns to confirm it. The young man abruptly rises from his bed, but his muscles ache unimaginably, causing him to collapse onto the floor, his head hitting the ground painfully. By chance, Han notices numerous missed calls and messages on his phone, which he had set to silent mode. Han fails to comprehend what is happening. He stumbles upon an online article with the headline "Wolves Attack. Academy Cadet Deals with It All," featuring his own photograph. Han engages in a phone conversation with Saren. The girl expresses her deep regret, admitting she didn't want to bring it up because Han dislikes dealing with the academy. Han inquires about how the article was created within a day, as he did not anticipate it becoming a problem, considering the monsters appeared outside the dungeon. Han tells Saren that she mentioned it accidentally, so there's nothing to worry about. The article has accumulated a considerable number of comments. Some are negative, criticizing Han for resembling more of an unemployed individual than an academy student, or suggesting that the weakest monster doesn't deserve a separate article. There are also comments expressing gratitude for the young man's rescue of people and their families. Han begins receiving messages of various content, with some people wanting to meet him and others asking him not to pretend to be a hero. One message, in particular, is from Han's instructor, inquiring whether the boy's ability has awakened. Han wonders since when he became so intriguing to his instructor. Han converses with Saren over the phone once again. The young woman questions why he is silent, to which Han responds that he is simply lost in thought. Han promises to treat Saren to a meal 10 times, which surprises him a bit, but Saren is not at fault here. Saren asks if she can choose something expensive. The young man responds firmly and hangs up. Now that Han's body has grown stronger and he has discovered how to utilize his ability, he cannot sit idle. Initially, when the towers first appeared, an incredibly large number of remarkable adventurers attempted to confront the attacking towers. Those who succeeded gained the skills of restoration or attained recognition and public attention. However, now the difficulty of the tower has increased, and it is almost impossible to attack it. Nevertheless, despite this, the number of people who want to take on the challenge has not diminished. They continue to strive even after such failures. Moreover, there is a proverb that states that one can achieve success in life, even if they are alone. Han finds it strange that no one has been able to enter the Swordmaster's tower, not even individuals with high rank. Han arrives at this tower, and it appears exactly as the young man described it. Therefore, he wishes to examine it more closely. Initially, Han traveled by train, and then he walked a considerable distance on foot. The young man grew weary, chastising himself for not training enough. Finally, Han reaches the tower without getting lost. He stands before a grand stone in front of the tower. Drawing nearer, he extends his hand and touches the stone, feeling the energy of one of the 7 heroes. For a hero, it is quite extraordinary to witness messages and missives in reality that were previously confined to computers or within his mind. Suddenly, someone behind him apologizes, addressing Han. A certain man observes that the young man is approaching the tower for the first time. He warns him about the danger of casually touching everything despite his curiosity. He is right, as one can receive an invitation to the tower by merely touching any object associated with it, so the sorcerers refrain from touching them without careful consideration. Han assures the man that he won't be sent to the tower, so everything is fine. This is inevitable because the young man is exceedingly weak. Can we consider this a blessing in disguise? Even if Han were invited to the tower, he would only be able to escape. Suddenly, the title of the true master of the 7 towers resonates with the tower, and as a response, the tower's master invites Han. Abruptly, the young man finds himself on a peculiar field. The master of the tower, Eden, sits in his chamber and observes Han on the screen. He considers him to be a mere fool and cannot comprehend why the young man is wandering around the tower. It appears strange to him. Eden scrutinizes Han's mana and concludes that he is a mere mortal, but this troubles him. The tower's master believes that Han is concealing something and desires to uncover the truth. Eden decides to invite Han to the tower for a conversation. The sword that cleaves the horizon extends an invitation to Han, summoning him to the first floor of the tower. Before Han, a new task unfolds. Type, Tower Challenge Difficulty. Unknown monsters of catastrophe rank will awaken in an hour, and he must ascend from the first floor before they strike, with an undetermined reward awaiting him. The heightened mana concentration stimulates Han's respiratory system. The wave of monsters will manifest soon, leaving less than an hour. The young man comprehends that his end is near. An ordinary individual lacking combat skills has entered the tower, an unprecedented occurrence. Han has exerted tremendous effort to ascend the tower, yet the conclusion is that he is a competent attacker, a demeaning label he acquired after securing the last position in the practical trial. Type, Tower Task Difficulty. Even if Han were to awaken a unique ability, he would be unable to assail the tower. Before the hero, a screen materializes, serving as a conduit for communication with Eden. Upon the screen, it is inscribed that Han stands rooted like a statue, an expression of despair etched upon his countenance. The tower's master has reduced the level of difficulty as much as possible, extending an invitation to Han to enter the tower, yet this development has still profoundly shaken him. Eden remarks that Han is a cripple by rank, merely fortunate enough to progress this far. Han is astounded by the Tower Master's capacity to diminish the challenges, to which the Master responds that this is his tower, and he alone determines the degree of arduousness for its traversal. The words of Eden strike a chord within Han, realizing that he is the very embodiment of the tower. Eden inquires if the young man knows him. Certainly, Han is acquainted with Eden, for it is he who created him. Can Han disclose this information? This particular Eden may differ from the one the boy knew. Initially, Han must ascertain. Eden scribes that within a few days of the tower's existence, he has garnered considerable renown. Becoming excessively renowned wearies him. From these words, Han comprehends that this is indeed the very Eden he the very Eden he envisioned. Eden is the chief among the 7 heroes, a character who embodies Han himself, devoid of any talent. A boy adept at wielding a sword but lacking skill in mana manipulation. Eden awakened his mana with the guidance of his teacher, encountered companions, and embarked on a journey to the castle of the devil. After emerging victorious over the demons, he became a revered hero by all. Eden is more than a mere embodiment of Han's dream, which is why he is the boy's beloved character. Han smiles and can hardly believe that he is conversing with the protagonist of the novel he himself authored. Eden grows angry and questions if Han is listening to him, inquiring about the peculiar smile on his face. Eden reveals that he summoned Han and lowered the difficulty, thus the boy must find his own way. Eden wishes Han success. Han implores Eden not to go, but his pleas fall on deaf ears. The boy is left alone, with no other choice. If Han were unable to cope, the tower would not have summoned him. There are 50 minutes remaining until the appearance of the catastrophe rank monsters. Han finds himself within the realm of his own novel, therefore there must be a way. Suddenly, a dragon soars above the boy, and in 50 minutes, all those monstrous creatures will launch a simultaneous assault. Fortunately, the dragon doesn't notice the boy, but if Han is slow, he will perish. Han must quickly discern his whereabouts. Damp soil, surrounded by verdant meadows. Through investigation, Han gathers information about his location. Suddenly, Han steps on something. Lowering his gaze, the youth beholds numerous planks scattered on the ground. He surmises that they are fragments of wooden swords, yet he remains uncertain if he can wield them, as the blades bear an uncanny appearance. Suddenly, the lad notices an engraving on one of the swords bearing the name Eden. It serves as an additional clue. Errors cannot exist. Han discovers a record regarding the tower's first floor. It is the place from the opening chapter of the book where the talentless boy awakened the genius within himself, the training ground of Eden. Thus, Eden's awakening has become a part of the tower, starting from the prelude. Han wonders why he finds himself precisely in this chapter, considering that Eden claimed to have lowered the difficulty. Even if Han possesses knowledge of combat, can a person like him achieve such a feat, no matter how prepared he may be? Han believes that success awaits him. The more the boy dwells on his failures, the more time he squanders in vain. Han delves into the earth and uncovers something of significance. The lad discovers a plant that appears repulsively grotesque. This exquisite flora, with a high probability, will permanently augment his magical prowess by 1. For Han, it is an authentic jackpot. The plant boasts interwoven leather-like coconut fibers, making it a remarkably rare specimen of spiritual herbs, flourishing solely in places imbued with pristine mana. Han stumbles upon approximately 50 specimens of such plants, although their discovery proved arduous. Perhaps the youth will succeed in uncovering even more of these botanical treasures. Since they resemble fibers, it is unlikely that anyone has ever contemplated their edibility. Han struggles to comprehend whether it is truly safe, but he consumes the plant. The herb is exceedingly bitter in taste, a fact that Han completely forgets, as it is simply inedible. Han, with his discerning palate, exhibits great finickiness when it comes to food, and his body vehemently rejects the notion of ingesting it. The arrival of the monsters is merely 45 minutes away. Youngman attempts to regain his composure and consumes the plant, tears streaming down his face, for he could perish. Therefore, the taste holds no significance. Time is running out for the young lad, and he must devour as many plants as possible. Only 15 minutes remain until the arrival of the monsters. How many plants has Han consumed thus far? 20? 40? He cannot recall. Undoubtedly, he must have consumed even more, as he has a sense of impending satiety. Blood trickles from Han's nose, and he feels as though his stomach has been turned inside out. The perception of mana intensifies, accompanied by an enhanced resilience to the strain of mana usage. The equilibrium of his body has been disrupted. Han was meant to acquire a sufficient amount of mana, and now he pours his entire reservoir into this wooden sword, just as Eden did. Meanwhile, Eden keeps a close eye on Han, observing that the boy is aware of the braided leather coconut fibers. Eden witnessed Han suddenly digging the ground and consuming the plants to enhance his mana. Eden fails to comprehend how Han deduced this course of action, as this particular plant does not exist on Earth. Eden surmises that Han must have possessed prior knowledge about this tower. Han decides to embody Dari Marsh, who was Eden's teacher. Dari was a mage from a royal family in a small kingdom. After losing her comrades during the demon conquest, she started living outside the city where she encountered Eden. At that time, Eden frequently injured himself due to his inexperienced use of mana. Derry felt pity for Eden and taught him how to control mana. Soon after, Eden's mana stabilized. Overjoyed, Derry became a magic teacher in this village, becoming Eden's first mentor. Han embarks on his immersion. The young man fulfills all the requirements to immerse himself in the high-level mage, Derry Marsh. Han becomes infused with magical blessings. Eden observes that Han's mana resembles that of his teacher, and he can't comprehend how it is possible. The mana that emanates is purified and gathers within Han's heart. It flows from his heart to the tips of his fingers. The mana is critically depleted. Finally, all the mana pours into the wooden sword. A profound anomaly occurs within Han's heart, as the excessively high utilization of mana leads to disturbances throughout his body. Eden wonders about the identity of Han, for he possesses the ability to manipulate mana. Not that Han is unafraid of death, but instead of succumbing to helpless demise, choosing to perish after doing everything possible to survive is exponentially superior. Han sacrifices himself for the sake of his weapon and meets his end. A live report is being conducted near the tower. The reporter narrates that numerous adventurers have gathered here. It has been 2 weeks since the tower's emergence, yet no one has been granted the right to enter. Will they witness the arrival of a hero capable of assaulting the tower and thwarting the monster invasion? The reporter approaches a particular adventurer, assuming he is a celebrity, and indeed he is. The reporter seeks to interview the young man, who agrees willingly. The reporter mentions that it has been 2 weeks since the construction of this tower, and she asks the adventurer for his thoughts on the likelihood of someone appearing today who can assail it. The adventurer declares that it is impossible. It is indeed true that this tower is connected to a sword, but no one has managed to unravel its mystery. People around the tower are informed that the first floor has been cleared. Can this be possible? It is, of course, only the first floor, and barely 14 days have passed. One reporter speculates that the one who cleared the floor possessed the right skill or was granted entry for some reason. Another reporter suggests that this is not one of the initial towers, so it is unlikely to house a remarkable warrior, leaving room for the emergence of an exceptional newcomer. Suddenly, the reporter hurries towards the entrance to secure the first interview, accidentally stepping on the sleeping Han. The maiden marvels at how soundly Han sleeps, even after she accidentally stepped on him. It is a wonder to her, as moments ago there was nobody around. The reporter contemplates whether or not to wake the lad, but suddenly her colleagues call out to her, and she rushes to join them. Han awakens and realizes that he is lying outside. Suddenly, Han starts to hear a voice. The voice inquires if Han has finally awakened, albeit late, as everyone has already departed. Han recognizes the voice as that of Eden. Han asks how Eden can speak from beyond the tower. Eden affirms that it is indeed possible. Han is dissatisfied with such a brief response. Eden clarifies that the only one who can speak to him from inside or outside the tower is Han. Han asks why that is the case. Eden says that he himself is curious about it. Han thought that Eden would know everything, being a part of the tower, but it seems he was mistaken. Eden says that regardless, Han has done well. Eden believes that having someone like Han as a companion could be a problem, but he tells Han that as long as the lad is by his side, he will not feel lonely. Han bids farewell to Eden, stating that it is time for him to go, but Eden enjoys conversing with Han and says that he will pursue the boy. Han asks Eden what he said. Eden advises to continue in the same spirit. Han does not understand what is wrong with his body. It is overflowing with mana, and his mana has increased sixfold. The boy marvels at how it can increase so rapidly, and Han has acquired 7 new abilities. The boy rejoices in his progress. Suddenly, Eden calls him a simpleton. Han asks him to give a warning before speaking. Eden calls Han a coward. Han states that anyone can be caught off guard if the heir starts talking. Eden tells Han that he has given him more than just skills and asks him to look at his attributes. Han says that he has just looked at them. Eden demands that the boy take another look at his attributes. Han examines his attributes and pleasantly marvels. He is simply astounded by what he sees. Such a reaction was expected by Eden. Han no longer has any limitations on the use of mana. Han decides to test his new skills and abilities and heads to the training center. Suddenly, a soda can shatters in front of Han. He hears Yujel's voice, calling him a degenerate and mentioning that they haven't seen each other in a long time. Yujel asks why Han decided to emerge only now. Han fails to comprehend the presence of this wretched Yujel. Han and Yujel are classmates of Youngman, and the latter possesses a rare and extraordinary ability. Yujel proposes another training battle. They have fought before, and Han tasted defeat. Yujel feared Han to some extent due to his slight intelligence, but now he sees nothing exceptional in him. Yujil labels Han as a devilish botanist and implores him not to meddle with the masters. Han never anticipated crossing paths with Yujil again. Yujil claims that he will defeat Han with just one strike. Han attempts to utter something, but Yujil interrupts him and grabs him by the collar. Suddenly, a man approaches and inquires about the ongoing scuffle.